Improvement Pill here. In the mid-20th century, two groundbreaking experiments on motivation were conducted. A psychology professor at the University of Wisconsin tested the problem-solving skills of 8 monkeys by giving them puzzles to solve. The monkeys enjoyed solving puzzles. By the end of the experiment, they could solve them pretty quickly. The experimenter was curious to know why the monkeys cared about solving the puzzles. They didn't get a reward for their efforts, they seemed just to enjoy it for its own sake. So the professor tried rewarding the monkeys with raisins for completing the puzzles. Given the leading theories of motivation at the time, he presumed their problem-solving would improve. But they actually got much worse and gave up more quickly. How could this be? 2 decades later, another study picked up where this one left off, this time on humans. The experimenter divided subjects into 2 groups, Group A and Group B, and made them solve puzzles. First, both groups had to solve the puzzles for their own enjoyment and could spend as long as they wanted. They weren't given external rewards. Both groups solved the puzzle in around 3 to 4 minutes. Next, Group A was paid a small amount of money to solve the puzzles, and Group B wasn't. As you'd expect, Group A became more interested and spent over 5 minutes working on the puzzles before they got bored. Group B behaved the same as before. However, the final session produced unexpected results. Again, like before, neither group was paid for the task, but this time, Group A spent significantly less time on the puzzles before giving up, about 2 minutes. Without the money, they were less interested. In contrast, Group B spent more time, showing they were becoming naturally more interested in the puzzles without needing rewards. In his groundbreaking book on motivation, Drive, author Daniel Pink argues that hidden in these experiments is a profound truth about human nature. Here lies the answer to why some of us get so much done and why others procrastinate and delay, letting their dreams go unfulfilled. Increasingly, science is telling us how to activate the motivational parts of our brain to unlock the drive we need to do big things. Many of us think we're lazy, but we're actually just looking for motivation in the wrong place. According to Daniel Pink, there are 2 kinds of motivation, 2 fuel sources. The first is extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is about doing things because of the reward we get or the punishment we avoid, not because we naturally want to. It's about external factors influencing our actions. Typical extrinsic motivators are money, status, prizes, and expensive things we can show off. Look around you. Extrinsic motivation is everywhere. At school, if you study hard and do what you're told, you get a good grade. If you don't, you get a bad grade or detention. At work, if you do a good job, you get a raise or a promotion. If you don't, you get fired. This is the basic framework. If you do X, you get Y. The reward and punishment are separate from the action. So, what's wrong with extrinsic motivation? Well, it can work sometimes, but it's not sustainable and generally only works in the short term. Imagine extrinsic motivation as a spark that lights a fire with gasoline. The gasoline, rewards, creates a quick, intense flame, but it burns out rapidly once the fuel is used up. The fire needs constant refueling to keep burning. And just like extrinsic motivation, once the gasoline runs out, the fire dies. We get used to extrinsic rewards. The feeling of earning a treat or getting a raise doesn't feel as good the more of them we get. Over time, external motivators lose their power, leaving us wondering why we feel so unmotivated. This is a problem, as so much of our world relies on external rewards. Now, contrast this with intrinsic motivation, the second fuel source. This is more like a campfire built with solid, slow-burning logs. The fire might take longer to start, but once it's burning, it gives us a steady, long-lasting energy source. It doesn't need constant refueling from the outside. Like intrinsic motivation that comes from within us, the logs keep the fire burning sustainably over time. In your life, intrinsic motivation will come from working hard on a project just because you want to, not for the reward you might get. When you do something just because of what you learn, how it makes you feel, or the sense of fulfillment it brings, you're experiencing intrinsic motivation. Maybe you're playing an instrument simply to get better at it, volunteering just to help others, or working out just because you enjoy it and how it makes you feel. We all know what it's like to experience intrinsic motivation. As young children, we play, build things, and go on adventures for no reason other than our curiosity. Daniel Pink's 3 methods for helping us unlock our intrinsic motivation. 3 legs of the intrinsic motivation stool. The first is autonomy. Think about all the great artists, scientists, and inventors of history. Einstein, Da Vinci, Picasso. They didn't succeed in their fields and change the world because they had someone telling them when to work, what to work on, and who to work with. No, it'd be crazy if they did. And you're no different. Drive teaches us that there are 4 T's of autonomy: time, task, technique, and team. When we have a say over when we work, what we work on, how we do it, and who we work with, we perform at our best. Remember a time when you tackled the task your way, or were allowed to take complete ownership of something without someone watching, controlling, and micromanaging you the whole time? Maybe you led a presentation at school, or were given some freedom in your job to work on an interesting side project. You remember how alive you felt? And how motivated you were to do a good job? This is autonomy in action. It's why many of the best products produced by big tech companies like Google, like Gmail and Google News, were invented by employees during some special time they were given to work on whatever they wanted. Our brains are wired to thrive and make us feel good when we have control over our work. We're naturally self-driven. Autonomy brings out the best in us. The second component is mastery. Mastery is about getting better at something you care about and being recognized for your accomplishments. If you've ever got really into a sport or hobby because of how excited you were to see your skills improving, you've experienced mastery. Mastery releases neurochemicals that boost our mood. To achieve mastery, we need to deliberately practice by making a conscious effort to improve at something. We need to get feedback from others, and we need to be consistent, showing up again and again despite setbacks. The secret to mastery is choosing tasks in what Daniel Pink calls the Goldilocks zone. We don't want to pick something so hard that we can't do it and give up. We don't want to choose a task so easy that it never pushes us to improve. We want to be in the middle. Being in the Goldilocks zone triggers a flow state. This is the state that makes us feel most alive and motivated to keep working on our projects, just because we want to. Flow is one of the most powerful keys for unlocking intrinsic motivation. This is actually why video games are so addictive. They're perfectly designed by expert engineers to challenge us, just enough to keep us playing, but not so much that we struggle and give up. In the real world, it's less straightforward, but we can always make sure, at work and school, that we're moving outside our comfort zones enough to become masters of a craft. The final leg in the stool is purpose. Drive teaches us that purpose is about the desire to do things that don't only benefit us. They also serve something larger than ourselves. You might have had jobs that you were good at and gave you extrinsic rewards, like a high salary, but something felt off. There was no bigger purpose. Your job felt like a bunch of meaningless tasks. We spend a good chunk of our lives at work. We want that time to matter. Daniel Pink says that the drive to make the world a better place, to make a difference, explains why some entrepreneurs decide to make less money so that their businesses can help more people. It's why people give up high-paying jobs to work for a nonprofit or volunteer overseas. As an intrinsic motivator, purpose pushes us to achieve things that extrinsic rewards, like money and job promotions, never could. It helps us stick with something and overcome challenges in a way that nothing else can. Your purpose can be anything you choose. Maybe you want to help others. Maybe you want to provide for your family. Maybe you want to become the best version of yourself. But whatever it is, it has to be true to you if you want to unlock its power as a motivator to work hard and achieve your dreams. The way we're taught that motivation works is wrong and outdated. Using these insights from the new science of motivation from Daniel Pink's Drive, you can tap into the sources of motivation used by the world's top performers and supercharge your productivity. Hope you found this useful. I'll see you on the next one.